History is not a river. It is a vast frozen ocean of moments, and the path we walk is but one crack across its surface. We see our reality as inevitable, as the only way the story could have been written. But beneath the ice lie infinite, branching possibilities, worlds that almost were. We look back to the dawn of the second millennium, the year 1000. The known world balanced on a knife edge. In the east, the Song dynasty forged steel. In the heart of Europe, empires rose and fell under the sign of the cross. And in the frozen north, the Scandinavian diaspora, the Vikings, had pushed the boundaries of the known world to its breaking point. They had settled Iceland. They had clung to the harsh, unforgiving ice of Greenland, a colony founded by the exiled Eric the Red. It was a marginal existence, a foothold on the edge of oblivion. They were desperate for resources, for timber, for pasture, for survival. From Greenland, they stared west, into the Ginnunga Gap, the Great Void. Legends spoke of land sighted by merchants blown off course. Then, Eric's own son, Leif, the Lucky, set sail. He found it. He walked on the shores of a new continent. He called the flatlands Markland, land of forests. And further south, where wild grapes grew thick, he named the place Vinland, the land of wine. In our timeline, this discovery is a footnote, a ghost story. They built a small settlement, what we now know as Lance aux Meadows in Newfoundland. It was a small, sod-walled outpost, clinging to the edge of a continent populated by millions. They called the native peoples Skrælings, a term of unknown meaning, perhaps skin-wearers or screechers. The encounters were few, and they were violent. In our reality, the sagas tell of Thorfinn Karlsefni, an Icelandic chieftain who attempted the first true colonization, bringing families, livestock, and hope. But that hope shattered against the spears of the Skrælings. The Norse, perhaps numbering less than 200, faced a land defended by thousands. They were too few. The supply line from Greenland was too thin. Greenland itself was dying. Within a few short decades, the Vikings retreated. They abandoned Vinland. The North Atlantic route grew cold, and Europe forgot. The New World would remain untouched by European steel for another 500 years, until a Genoese sailor named Columbus, looking for India, stumbled upon the Caribbean. But what if? What if that fragile first domino had fallen differently? What if the men and women at Lance aux Meadows had not been explorers, but the vanguard of an empire? We hunt for the fracture point, the single moment that splits reality. It is not a battle. It is not a king's decree. It is the winter of the year 1013. Karlsefni's settlement is starving. The hunt has been poor, and the new land is harsh. In our history, they slaughtered their livestock and retreated. But in this timeline, a different choice is made. A small band of Skrælings, perhaps Beothuk or Mi'kmaq, track the strange bearded newcomers. They too are struggling in the grip of the same brutal winter. They see the Norsemen's desperation, not their strength. The sagas tell us that in one OTL encounter, the natives offered furs for milk, until a bull broke loose, and the trade collapsed into chaos. Here, that bull does not run. A nervous Norseman does not draw his sword. Instead, Thorfinn Karlsefni, his wife Gudrid, and the native chieftain meet. There is no common language, only the shared language of starvation. The Norse offer their greatest treasure, worked iron, a simple knife, a nail. To a people living in the Stone Age, it is a gift from the gods. In return, the tribe offers the knowledge of the land, how to hunt the caribou, where to find the winter stores, how to survive. That first winter they do not fight, they survive. Together, the first domino has fallen. The Skrælings, astonished by the power of Norse iron, see the newcomers not as invaders, but as bizarre, powerful allies. The Norse, realizing they cannot conquer this vast continent, see the natives not as enemies, but as the key to its resources. A symbiotic relationship is born. The Norse trade iron tools, textiles, and metallurgy for furs, food, and, crucially, knowledge. Word gets back to Greenland, carried on ships laden not with tales of failure, but with timber and fur. More settlers arrive. Not a flood, but a steady, determined trickle. They do not cling to the coast. Guided by their new allies, they push inland, up the great rivers. They are not conquerors. They are traders. This is the critical distinction. By the year 1100, the Vinland colony is not a single outpost. It is a network of fortified trading towns, Nigeheim, New Home, on the coast, Straumfjordur, Fjord of Currents, at the mouth of the great river. A new culture is being forged in the fires of survival. Norsemen take native wives. Their children speak a pidgin of Old Norse and Algonquian. They wear sealskin and walrus hide armor, but they wield iron-headed axes. They build longhouses that look hauntingly like the longships they sailed in on, but they are built of American redwood and pine. This hybrid society, the Vinlendinger, begins to look not east to a failing Greenland, but south and west, into the heart of the continent. By the year 1250, this new reality is hardening. The Vinlendinger have followed the rivers deep into the continent. They encounter the vast Mississippian culture, the mound builders of Cahokia. This is not a meeting of Stone Age and Iron Age. The Mississippians are a vast, complex, urban society. The Vinlendinger are a hardened, maritime warrior merchant culture. They trade. The Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash, travel north, revolutionizing the Vinland diet, allowing for larger populations. In return, Norse iron trickles south. The Vinlendinger adopt the horse, brought over in small numbers on their ships, and it thrives on the Great Plains, centuries before the Spanish. But history is waiting with its greatest test. In the mid-14th century, it comes. The Black Death. In our timeline, the plague ravaged Europe and Asia. It was the final nail in the coffin of the Greenland colony. With Greenland gone, the lifeline to Vinland was severed permanently. In this timeline, the plague arrives in Vinland on a Norwegian trading vessel in 1349. It is an apocalypse. The European-born Norse die in droves. The indigenous populations with no immunity are decimated. But the hybrid generations, the Vinlendinger, some of them carry a fragile, accidental resistance from both sides. They endure. The plague does what the Skrælings spears could not. It shatters the old colonies. But from the ashes, a new, singular identity is forged. They are no longer Norse settlers. They are the first people of this new world. They have been through the fire. When the plague subsides, the Greenland colony is gone. Iceland is a ghost. Norway is a nation of graves. Vinland is utterly, completely alone. But it is self-sufficient. It has timber. It has agriculture. It has forgeable bog iron. It has horses. And it has nearly 150 years of isolation to evolve. From 1350 to 1490, Vinland turns its back on the sea and builds an empire. They are not Vikings. They are something new. They worship a strange fusion of the White Christ, the Norse Allfather, and the Great Spirit Manitou. Their leaders are not konungs, but jarls and sachems. They build great halls of timber that dwarf those in Scandinavia. They create runestones that tell their sagas, but they are carved with the imagery of the thunderbird and the wolf. They master the Great Lakes, their inland sea, with hybrid ships, part longship, part canoe. They trade with the Iroquois, who are now a powerful confederation armed with Vinlendinger steel. They push down the Mississippi, the great river, the Mississippi. They clash with the remnants of the Mississippian culture. They trade for obsidian with the distant, rumored empires of the South. When they finally turn back to the sea in the late 15th century, it is not as lost colonists. It is as a power. Their naws are larger, more seaworthy, a blend of Viking design and the deep continent resourcefulness they have learned. In 1485, a fisherman off the coast of Ireland, mending his nets, looks up. He sees a ship unlike any he has ever known. It is long, sleek, with a single square sail, but its dragon-headed prow is carved in a style he cannot place. Tall men disembark, clad in iron scale mail and rich furs. They are pale-skinned, but their eyes, their hair, their features, they are different. They speak a language that sounds like the ghost of Old Norse, but it is laced with words he has never heard. They have not come to raid, they have come to trade. They offer fortunes in beaver pelts, in cured tobacco, in hard, red-hued vinvader, redwood. Europe is stunned. The legends were true. This is the world that greets Christopher Columbus in 1492. When Columbus returns to the court of Ferdinand and Isabella, his tale of Las Indias is electrifying. But the court is already buzzing with a different, more concrete marvel. The Marklanders, as the English call them, or the Vinlendinger, as they call themselves. The Pope is thrust into a geopolitical nightmare. The Vinlendinger are Christian, sort of. Their bishops are married. They revere Odin as a kind of prophet. They are also, undeniably, native to this new land. The age of discovery becomes the age of collision. Spain and Portugal, driven by the Treaty of Tordesillas, focus their efforts south. They send Columbus, Vespucci, and Cabral to the Caribbean and Brazil. They are looking for gold, for souls, for a path to Asia. But England, Denmark, and the Hanseatic League look north. They are not discovering a new world. They are re-establishing contact with a lost one. The race is on. The Vinlendinger, who now control the vast territory from the St. Lawrence waterway to the Great Lakes, are the ultimate gatekeepers. They are the buffer. They are not primitive. They have steel. They have horses. They have alliances with powerful interior tribes like the Stallfolk, the Steel People, this timeline's Iroquois. And crucially, they have 5 centuries of immunity, hard-won from the Black Death. When Hernán Cortés lands in Mexico in 1519, his conquest is not the swift, shocking collapse of our history. The Aztec Empire, through vast trade networks, has already heard rumors, more than rumors. They have iron. It is rare, traded down from the pale men of the north, but it exists. Aztec warriors meet the conquistadors not just with obsidian-bladed macuahuitl, but with stal macuahuitl. The gods are not as shocking when you have been trading with other pale men for a generation. The conquest of Mexico is not a conquest at all. It is a long, brutal, and negotiated war. The Aztec Empire survives, bloodied and forced into vassalage, but intact. In the north, the story is entirely different. The English do not found Jamestown or Plymouth. They found trade embassies, with the permission of the local Vinlendinger Jarl. The Markland Riki, the Markland Kingdom, is a power to be reckoned with. They control the flow of furs and timber. They fight wars against European powers. The French, attempting to settle Quebec, are annihilated by a Vinlendinger fleet on the St. Lawrence. The Vinlendinger play the European powers against each other with ruthless skill. They are masters of this continent. By the year 1750, North America is unrecognizable. It is not a fledgling collection of English colonies dreaming of liberty. It is a brutal, multipolar world. In the south, the viceroyalty of New Spain controls Mexico and the Caribbean, constantly at war with a weakened but still breathing Aztec nobility. In the far south, the Inca Empire, having acquired horses and steel from the north before Pizarro's arrival, successfully repelled the Spanish invasion and remains isolated, a mountain fortress kingdom. And the entire northern half of the continent, from Newfoundland to the edge of the Rocky Mountains, is the Vinland Alþingi, the Vinland Commonwealth. It is a vast, sprawling, feudal kingdom. It is a melting pot of Scandinavian, English, Irish, and a dozen First Nations cultures. Its capital, Einarsborg, built where Montreal stands in our world, is a city of stone castles and towering wooden longhouses. Its people speak Marklandsk, a true Creole language. The defining conflict of this world is not the 7 Years' War between Britain and France. It is the Great Northern War, fought between the Vinland Alþingi and the encroaching empires of Spain, from the south, and Russia, from Alaska. There is no United States of America. The idea of liberté, égalité, fraternité is smothered. The dominant philosophy is not the Enlightenment. It is a harsh, pragmatic code of survival, honor, and trade. The great American hero of this timeline is not George Washington. It is Jarl Hrolf Karlsefnisson, the Wolf of the Lakes, who defeated the Spanish at the Battle of the Miclasipi and secured the continent's heartland for the Commonwealth. This is the world forged by a single handshake, a single shared winter, a decision made in desperation, in the frozen quiet of the year 1013. It teaches us that history is not driven only by great battles or inevitable forces. It is driven by human contact. In our world, that contact failed. It was born of fear and misunderstanding, and a continent was left to wait, vulnerable, for a second, more brutal discovery. In this alternate reality, the contact succeeded. It created a world that was perhaps more violent, more complex, and more divided, but one in which the new world was never new. It was never conquered. It absorbed the invaders and created something utterly unknown. It forces us to ask, what do we mean by success? The ghost settlement at Lance aux Meadows, in its failure, preserved a continent for 500 years. The success of Nijlheim plunged it into the crucible of iron and empire centuries early. We see our own history as preordained, but it is not. It is the result of countless fragile moments. The path of our world was not written in stone, but carved in the ice by the hesitant footsteps of what if. But this is just one possibility. What do you think would have happened if the Vikings had succeeded? Let us know your own theory in the comments. If you enjoy exploring the infinite realities of what if, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell, because history is never truly finished.